Yeah, I'm gonna need you to yeah. I may need that radio silence real quick. Yeah, I don't need to like be taking it slow. This isn't supposed to be long. Do this as quickly as I possibly can. There you go. There you go. Oh. Crap. Bye. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Pretty much everything's set up here. I ain't even gonna waste time like that. I'm gonna be honest. I ain't here to waste much time. Right. Everything's pretty much set up. We good. Yeah, we are good to go. Okay. Ah, man. Do I got my notes here? Got my notes. Do I have my notes? Because I'm going to need them here. Yeah, thanks for that. You're going to have to be silent. Jesus, criminy Christmas. That's just terrible. That's honestly embarrassing. Wow. Anywho, give me a second. Oh, God, I got to fix the camera, too. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to pull up my notes here as my camera decides to act up. Wow, he came up. Okay, possibilities are still there, I think. Wow, still got a whole... Yeah, there's some possibilities. I'm going to leave y'all to it. Apparently, there's some that's already been there. Some that could show up. I'm going to leave the possibilities to y'all. Okay. So that's how y'all going to do... Yeah, all right. Pretty much got what I need here. All right. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys enjoy your day. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying your day. Well, it's basically nighttime. Playoffs kick off today. And I'm going to be honest, bro. I'm going to be honest. I ain't going to be here long. It's a live stream, but it's basically a video because I got to get my predictions out just before playoffs start. Because playoffs kick off tomorrow. We're starting with the Browns and Texans. To be honest, I'm not trying to be here. This is not about to be a stream that's going to be an hour long or an hour two. No. It's probably going to be half hour, maybe 40 minutes at most. I'm just here to give my playoff predictions. So, like you said, it's wild card weekend. Obviously, we know the number one seed in both the AFC and the NFC are not playing this week. So Baltimore and San Francisco, they do get the break. They got the number one seed. The playoffs go through them as long as they're still in the postseason, and they'll play in the divisional round next week, which will either be, depending on how they want to make it, it can either be on the 20th or the 24th. Not 24th. The 20th or the 21st, which is Saturday or Sunday. So Ravens Flock, we're either playing another Saturday night divisional game, or we could be the Sunday game. Chances are we're going to be that Saturday night game, so prepare yourselves. But yeah, we've got some games we got to go over because the playoffs are going to be very interesting. You've got an interesting matchup in the postseason this year. And we got some interesting teams. From the AFC, Got the Ravens as the 1 seed, the Bills as the 2 seed, the Chiefs as a 3 seed, Texans as a 4 seed. You've got the Browns as the 5 seed, the Dolphins as the 6 seed, and the Steelers as the 7 seed. So 3 teams from the AFC North made the playoffs. In the NFC, you've got the Niners at the 1 seed, Cowboys at the 2 seed, Lions at the 3 seed, Buccaneers at the 4 seed, Eagles at the 5 seed, Rams at the 6 seed, and the Green Bay Packers at the 7 seed. So we've got a plethora of wild card matchups to see through. Now, I'm actually going to pull up when they actually be scheduled because I'm going to do it one-on-one based on it. But I do have my playoff bracket here that I'm going to go through, and we'll just go from there for the most part. We got 6 games that we've got to deal with. So let me pull up my bracket here for the playoffs real quick. Here we are. I've got my playoff brackets right here. So obviously, we've got our teams. Baltimore and, of course, San Francisco, they're going to be enjoying their bye week, spending the time to get themselves prepared for the divisional round. We'll see how that goes for both sides. And everybody else, they've got to play a playoff game today because the playoff starts for them. Not everybody's going to play today, but some teams going to play today. So, I'm just going to go through my list. I'm going to go through my list in order in terms of who's playing first. And we'll find our way up into seeing who's going to, be in the Super Bowl, I guess. I don't know. Originally, I was just going to do wild card matchups. But I feel like, I don't think I want to be doing matchups for the division round. Actually, I probably will, especially because the Ravens opponent, I'm going to have to make a preview or video on that. Might do a live stream, who knows. But I feel I should just make my bracket and see how it goes. Obviously, as a Ravens fan, I'm pretty sure you know who I have winning the Super Bowl. But let's see how we get there. So, wild card weekend kicks off tomorrow because it's technically not 12 o'clock yet. It'll be 12 o'clock soon, but playoff football begins tomorrow, and we're starting things off with the Browns, the Cleveland Browns, taking on the Houston Texans. This is going to be a very interesting matchup, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is actually going to be one of the more interesting matchups of the wild card weekend, just because you've got 2 teams that many did not expect to be in this position. Cleveland was an interesting team last year. I don't think many people had them coming into the playoffs because, Baltimore, people expected Baltimore to be in that area of making the playoffs. Cincinnati was expected to win the division, and Pittsburgh always hangs around 9 to 10 wins. So that was the expectation for them. No one's surprised to see them really at this point. I guess people are surprised to see them in the playoffs because of how poorly their offense has been. But Cleveland was expected to be a team that would be around 8 or 9 wins, but they wouldn't make the playoffs. And based on what's happened throughout their season, you would assume they would have been able to break down all the injuries that's happening. They should have collapsed under that. They lost their starting quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Yet despite losing him, they have found a way to survive. They have played 5 quarterbacks this season. They've won a game with 4 different quarterbacks. And right now, the current quarterback for the Cleveland Browns will be Joe Flacco. He is heading up to Houston to take on this Texans team. Now with Cleveland, it's an interesting situation for them. And I think it's an interesting matchup. A lot of people think Cleveland, or at least the perception about Cleveland, is that they are a dark horse team that could really pull off an upset. A lot of people believe if they meet up with the Ravens, the Browns are good enough to take them out. And I don't blame them, and I see where it's coming from, and I do look at the Browns as a team that could be very dangerous to any playoff team, not even just Baltimore. They could be dangerous to Buffalo. They could be dangerous to Kansas City as well. That is a very tough team, and you've got a quarterback that's playing with house money. He's able to play free. And then on the flip side, you've got the Houston Texans, a team that wasn't even supposed to be here. Number one, this was a team that was tanking last year, and many people said they were tanking for the number 1 pick. They ended up winning a game. I think last season they won a game against the Colts to end up getting the 2nd pick in the draft instead of the 1st. And people thought they messed up their tank. Well, I will say this, man. The Texans probably had one of the best drafts they've had in a decade. They drafted their quarterback in C.J. Stroud, and what he's been able to do for this team, the turnaround. It's very ironic. Last year, They beat the Colts to get the 2 seed, but ultimately, obviously, they were tanking. This year, they beat the Colts to make the playoffs and win the division. So to go from being the number two, not the 2 seed, but to be the second pick in the draft, being second in the lottery, to being from being second in the lottery, having the second worst record in football, to now winning your division and being in the playoffs with a rookie quarterback that's probably had one of the greatest, if not the greatest rookie season we've ever seen, it's an amazing feat. And the tech, I don't even know. I don't even know if I want to. No, I would say that. I would say that. Shout out to my man Loyal to Houston. You could speak on this. Throughout the season, they've had a lot of injuries, especially on the defensive side. And here's an interesting part. When the Texans and the Browns met up, they were missing several pieces from their defense. Several of those pieces will be actually playing in this game here. So I'm not exactly sure. I think they said they were missing, one or two pass rushers? Because I've seen a couple Texas fans talk about this. They were missing some defensive pieces when they took on Cleveland early on. And of course, they were missing C.J. Stroud. But this Texans team has been dealing with injuries throughout the season. Obviously, they lost Tank Dell, and that's a big, loss for them. But they've been able to survive, and other guys have stepped up and done what they've done. Yeah, injuries been in the O-line also since the preseason. So yeah, they've been dealing with injuries with their offensive line. They've been dealing with injuries throughout their defense, from their front seven to, in some cases, their secondary. Injuries have been piling up for Houston. So a lot of these teams in the playoffs, they've been dealing with injuries throughout the year. Cleveland's dealing with injuries, but so are the Texans. So I wouldn't look at it as if the Texans have been a team that's been healthy all year and they just got to this point. No, they've been dealing with injuries and they've been able to overcome it just like the Browns have. And the good news for them is they're going to have some pieces back that didn't play in that initial matchup against the Browns. But yeah, the Texans, they dealt with their injuries. They lost C.J. Stroud for a game or two. He was out because of his injury, so they had to find a way to survive without him. And yet, despite everything they've gone through, they've been able to not only make the playoffs, but win the division. So here they are, the number 4 seed, hosting a playoff game against the Cleveland Browns. Man, the scriptwriters know what they're doing. And it sucks that this guy's hurt, because this would have been a perfect situation to watch them play, man. Oh, my goodness. Woo! How crazy it is. The scriptwriters have been cooking. You'll see throughout the wildcard round. They're cooking. The Texans get to go up against Cleveland. The unfortunate part is Deshaun Watson's not playing. So Deshaun Watson's going to get to go up there. I don't even know if he's with the team. He's going to get to go up there, and his team's going to face off against his former team. And if Watson was playing, this would have been a very interesting story. But Flacco's going to have to take on that role. And Flacco has an opportunity to set up another story in the divisional round, but we have to wait and see. So, you got these two teams that are going to face off against each other here. And I think it's going to be one of those games that's going to be very tough. I know a lot of people are just going to overwrite the Texans and think they're going to get beat badly. I don't know what they've been watching. I'm not sure what they've been watching. It's very interesting how people are just willing to put this Browns team on the pedestal and say, oh, because of the defense and how they've played so far. And if Flacco's playing with house money, they're going to be able to pull off the upset against Baltimore. They might get to the AFC title game. Maybe they might get to the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't think people put them as a Super Bowl. The Bills seem like a team they put in the Super Bowl, but a lot of people are throwing this team as a dark horse team. And the interesting part is, if you actually take a look at how this team has played over the last several games, even though they've won, the team has not played as well as you would believe they should be playing. See, throughout, the first 12 games, I guess 11, 12 games they played this year, that defense was very dominant. But that defense has been suffering injury after injury after injury after injury. If you actually, feel free to take a look at the numbers. If you take a look at the numbers, defensively, they haven't been the best. Like, throughout the first 11 games, 12 games, I think there's no argument they were the best team in football. But over these last 5-6 games, they're giving up more points. They've been worse at stops. And your best player in Myles Garrett, his production's kind of been down since week 12. It's very interesting. The defense hasn't performed as well as they performed in weeks 1 through 11. And again, it's not their fault. They're missing guys. And I think that's an element people are forgetting. This defense isn't playing as great as you guys are putting them up to be. They've been giving up more points throughout these last 6 games than they were giving up throughout the first 11. They're giving up more now because of these injuries. And that's a factor that needs to be expressed. This defense isn't as dominant as you expect it to be. Throughout the entire season, their numbers look dominant, but that's because throughout the first 11 games of the season, they were the best team in football. But these last 5-6 games, due to the injuries, they've been slipping. And then you look at the flip side offensively. There's no doubt that Flacco has been playing with house money. But the fact that people are just ignoring the negative and just showcasing the positive, it's kind of crazy. Yes, Flacco, I think he's had, four games? He's played 5 games for them. I think it's 4 of those 5 games, 300-plus yards passing. He has 13 touchdowns in those 5 games. But nobody seems to be talking about the fact this guy has turned the ball over. Actually, not even 8 times, because he's fumbled it a couple times. I think it's nearly 10. He has thrown 8 picks in these games. He has thrown 8 interceptions. 2 of them have been for pick sixes. Every game, Flacco has turned the ball over. And this is just being swept under the rug. Everyone's trying to prop them up because they want to see Baltimore and Cleveland in the divisional round, and just assuming the Texans are just this team that's irrelevant and they have no shot to win this game. But Cleveland's defense has been worse since over the last 5 to 6 games. They have been worse due to the injuries. Not blaming them for that, but they have taken a step back defensively because of the injuries. And offensively, they've been putting up points, but Flacco has been turning the ball over at a high level. And that could be dangerous in the playoffs. If he comes out here tomorrow and he's turning the ball over, Houston absolutely has a chance to win this game. And it's very interesting that people are ignoring the negative aspects because they want to plop up Cleveland, which again, I understand. It's a happy story it's a happy story. It's a great narrative, especially for a team that's been through all the injuries they've been through. To find a way to make the playoffs, that's a grand thing. But this Cleveland team isn't as strong as you make them out to be. That's not to say they can't play like that, because at the end of the day, Cleveland has a next man up mentality. If they did not have that mindset, they wouldn't be in the playoffs. But I'm just telling people to just have a little bit of caution with some of the things you're saying about Cleveland, because it seems like you're putting them up there in a higher plane, and they're not going to be able to live up to that expectations unless the guys they have overplay the talent they have right now, because a lot of their talent is in IR. Either way, Cleveland, they're still a tough team, even with the injuries. I think this is a very tough matchup for Houston. Honestly, I'm pretty sure Cleveland's the favorite in this matchup, and I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland's able to take control of this game early on. But the Texans, I think the Texans are going to be a team that people really, really overlook. And I think this game is going to be a great opportunity to really showcase how different of a football team the Texans are with C.J. Stroud. I don't think you understand how the Texans are with that guy as their quarterback. I don't think you understand exactly what this guy has done this season, because no one expected the Texans to be here. The way this young man has played this season and the efficiency that he's shown, that has to be spoken of. Now, granted, this is going to be a huge test for him because he's going up against a tough defense. But the way this young man has played, would I be surprised if Houston gets the win? Absolutely not. I would not be surprised if Houston got the win. They've got the better quarterback in this situation. Cleveland has the more experienced quarterback, and they're going to lean on that experience with Flacco and hope it works out for them. But in terms of who's the better quarterback, C.J. Stroud right now is the better quarterback because he's performed better. There's not much to say there. And sometimes all you need is a great quarterback to help you. And again, Houston, they've been injured, they've been missing pieces, but they're getting players back for this game. Now, here's where the concerns come in. Defensively, I don't trust the Texans defensively at all. I really don't. Injuries have ruined them, but the Texans defense is they're really soft against run defense over the last couple weeks, which again, injuries, I get it, but they've been really soft against run defense. Literally, Jonathan Taylor was running all over them. The pass defense has been better, but still there is a concern there. I don't like this matchup for them from the defensive side. I think if there's any chance Houston's going to win this, it comes down to C.J. Stroud. But I just don't like what I see from the Texans defensively. Again, I understand the injuries, but both teams are injured. I like Cleveland's defense more in this situation, and offensively, when you just look at the weapons that the Browns have, you're going to have Amari Cooper, who's been beasting and feasting against everybody. The last time he played the Texans, nobody could cover him. You've got David Njoku, who's a monster, and Flacco loves throwing the tight ends, so that's another guy you got to deal with. And you still got Kareem Hunt running the football. It's just there's a lot stuff. There's just a lot here that the Browns have, even with the injuries. Defensively, they're a better team. Offensively, again, I still like what C.J. Stroud brings to the table, and Nico Collins is going to be doing his thing. Same thing for Singletary, but it's just defensively, the edge goes to Cleveland. Offensively, the edge still goes to Cleveland. So that's why Cleveland's favored. And nobody's giving Houston a chance. But I believe in the CJ Stroud effect. And I think that is ultimately going to determine the game. Now, in terms of my pick, I picked Cleveland to win this game. I have them winning this matchup. So even though I'm speaking a lot for the Texans, I do have the Browns squeaking out this matchup. Just because that defense for the Texans is what worries me. Now, granted, if the game is tied and CJ Stroud's the ball with the game on the line, Texans are going to the divisional round. But I just don't know if CJ is going to be able to keep it close with the way that defense is playing. Now, at the same time, I already mentioned Flacco's turning the ball over at a high level. He turned the ball over multiple times when Houston faced him. But that was with Case Keenum as quarterback. C.J. Stroud will be able to take advantages of those turnovers if you put him on the short field. So it really feels like it's a toss-up. It's really close. People are just trying to just legit write off the Texans, and that's why I want to give them their praise. But I am still picking the Browns to win this game. I just think it's going to be a close game, and I trust Cleveland's defense more. Even with the injuries, I trust Cleveland's defense more than I trust the Texans. I got the Cleveland Browns edging out the Houston Texans, but I would not be surprised in the slightest if Houston wins this game. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Houston pulls off the upset. As a Ravens fan, I don't really care who wins, but as an NFL fan, and as somebody that's been watching the Texans play this year, I hope C.J. Stroud goes off and gives this team an opportunity to win. I really hope C.J. has an amazing rookie debut in the postseason and he pulls off the upset because this guy's having the greatest rookie season we've ever seen by a quarterback. And it would be awesome if he could, if he can finish that off with a playoff win, the first playoff win for the Houston Texans since 2019. What's going on to everybody in the chat? Got some new people pulling up. What's going on, some of you guys? I'll be looking at the comments later after I get this done. Next up, we've got the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Okay. So this is gearing up to be one of the coldest playoff games. Matter of fact, this is gearing up to be one of the coldest games as a whole. The coldest game as a whole. I think it's supposed to be negative 25 degrees with the wind chill out there in Kansas City tomorrow night. Man, listen. Ravens flock, sometimes we like to complain about circumstances, and I know a lot of people still have some nerves and concerns about what we're going to do in the division round. But man, sometimes we just got to appreciate the situation we're in because it could be a whole lot worse. The Dolphins fans have been panicking throughout this entire week. They lost the division, so they couldn't stay home, and now they got to go to Kansas City. And every day, we just keep hearing about how the weather in Kansas City on Saturday or tomorrow is getting colder and colder and colder and colder and colder. And the Dolphins are not a team that can play well in the cold. So that is an actual concern. I don't think anybody believes the Dolphins can win this game. Not a single person believes the Dolphins can win this game. The Chiefs have a much better defense than the Dolphins. The Dolphins are wrecked by injury. Okay, let's start with that. Defensively, wrecked by injury. 2 of their main pass rushers out for the season. You're missing guys in the secondary. Offensively, I'm not fully sure if Waddle's going to be out there. Hopefully he will. I'm not fully sure if Mostert's going to be out there. I believe he's going to. If they're gone, you've got no shot. Tyreek Hill's been banged up the last couple weeks. Every game, he's just going out there and playing off of pure will. They have been banged up left, right, up, and down. They're riddled with injuries, and now they got to go play in the cold? I don't even think the Browns-Texans is going to be that close, man. You're underestimating the Texans. I'm telling you, the Houston Texans are a different team with C.J. Stroud as a quarterback. Just because you saw the Browns destroy the Texans with Case Keenum as the quarterback does not mean the same result's going to happen. You are massively underestimating what the Texans are with C.J. Stroud. I picked the Browns to win the game, but you are massively underestimating what C.J. Stroud is capable of. That Texans team plays an entirely different brand of football when that guy is quarterback. They're much more motivated as a team when that guy is out under center. Not to mention, there was several defensive pieces that was missing in that game between the Texans and the Browns. Those defensive pieces that could have tried, especially pass rushers, that could have tried to get to Flacco, they're going to be playing in that game tomorrow. So do not underestimate the Texans. Browns should be the favorite. I expect them to win, but do not underestimate the Texans. That is not going to be a blowout. With C.J. Stroud as quarterback, it's not going to be a blowout. But back to the Chiefs and the Dolphins. Yeah, nobody's giving the Chiefs a chance. And again, Chiefs fans are panicking. They got to play on a short week. Browns going to win by at least 10 points. We'll see tomorrow, bro. We'll see tomorrow. We'll see. I'm not disagreeing and saying that the Browns won't win. But to assume they're going to win in dominant fashion against that quarterback with the way C.J. Stroud has been... All right, I'm going to leave it right there. Like I said, they're a different team with C.J. Stroud as the quarterback. Just because you saw this team dominate them with Case Keenum at quarterback does not mean it's going to happen with C.J. Stroud. That team plays different football when that guy's under center. Sometimes when you have the quarterback, when you have your franchise guy, they're different. Browns defense going to cause some problems? Yeah, Browns defense going to cause some problems. Absolutely. But again, you missed this part because you came in. We were speaking on this, absolutely. Go take a look at the numbers since Week 12 and how that Browns defense has performed. Weeks 1 through 11, the Browns defense was, no question, number one defense. Go look at how the Browns defense has played from weeks 12 all the way to week 17. Go look at the points they've given up. It's higher than the first 11 weeks. Go look at some of the plays they've been giving up. Go look at how the defense has performed down the stretch against competition that's worse than anything they're not even worse than the competition they've taken on. None of those guys are better than the Texans, except the Rams. Arguably. And the Rams beat them. I think you're highly underestimating what this Texans team can do. The Browns, these injuries are a serious problem. I still got the Browns to win because they've been able to overcome it. But to just act like they're about to roll the Texans when A, their defense has been worse due to these injuries. They've been giving up more points due to these injuries. They've been giving up a lot more plays due to these injuries. They haven't been the same defensively due to these injuries. They have been exploited due to these injuries. All right, if you don't see it, that's cool. I know everybody's just overriding the Texans. And I got the Browns too. But this game I don't see it being a blowout. With C.J. Stroud as the quarterback, I don't see it. But yeah, back to the Chiefs-Dolphins. I keep getting back. I already got that one here. Chiefs-Dolphins. Yeah, Dolphins, they lost the division on Sunday, and now they got to play on Saturday. So they got to play on a short week. They're going on the road. It looks like it's going to be the coldest game, or one of the coldest games to ever be played in NFL history. And they're banged up left, right, up, and down. The Chiefs have a top 5 defense, and that's going to bring serious trouble to the Dolphins. I'm going to be honest right now. Despite the way the Chiefs offense is looking, if those guys can just catch the ball, they're not going to lose this game to the Dolphins. I'm just going to put it out there. The key to the Dolphins pulling off the upset is their running game. You need to have both Mostert and Achane there. In a game that's going to be that cold, the running game is a must. If the Dolphins have any chance to win, they can't throw the football. You have to limit the amount of times you're going to throw the football with Tua. You've got 3 guys you're going to have to utilize here. Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, and Tyreek Hill in those jet sweeps. They have to run the hell out of the football and get physical with this Chiefs defense. That's their only way. They're not beating this Chiefs defense passing. Even if it was in perfect conditions, they're gonna have trouble beating this team passing the football. In those conditions, bro, running the football is the only hope the Dolphins have here. There's not much for me to say. I've got the Chiefs winning this game. I just feel like the injuries are catching up to the Dolphins. They're heading downwards, and now they're gonna go play in the game in the cold on the road when they haven't played well on the road and they don't play well in cold temperature. And now I'm supposed to going to the Chiefs of all places. I think this is the end of the road for the Dolphins. I hope they can keep it close. I hope they could keep it close. I really do hope they could keep it close, but I got the Chiefs. Oh yeah, this game is on Peacock. I don't know why it's on Peacock, but whatever. Either way, this is another storyline that the script writers have been putting up because Tyreek Hill gets to go back to Kansas City, but that's not really much of a story. No one really cares. He won a ring with them, so it is what it is. Next up, Bills Steelers. This is another game in which the weather is going to be terrible. This is another game in which the Bills are another game in which the weather is going to be terrible. There's a blizzard going on, and I don't even know how they're going to be able to play a game tomorrow. Not even tomorrow, Sunday. I don't even know how they're going to be playing in that game. That's the next game, Sunday. You've got Steelers and Bills at 1 p.m. I'm not even sure how that game's going to go. They're going to probably monitor it within the next 40 hours. I believe there was a post that the Bills are actually paying people like $20 an hour to come help shovel the snow out. Depending on how the weather looks, I'm not sure. Everyone is expecting the Bills to win in the blowout. With these weather conditions, where? If it was perfect conditions, absolutely. But with the weather, with a blizzard, I don't see that happening. The Steelers, if there's anything good from the Steelers that you could take away from offensively, is that they run the ball well. And Najee's, he's had moments where he's looked bad, and he's had moments where he's looked great. He's had a really good season. He's done his thing. I'm not expecting much from Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph's in the perfect position to just manage the game. You don't need him to be special. You don't need him to try to force things. He doesn't have to be Superman. Just run the offense. And Mason Rudolph has done that, which is why he is the starter over both Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky, because he's just running the offense and he's not making mistakes and he's actually moving the football by just doing the simplest of tasks. It's so much easier when you just do your job. Or you don't try to be special. You don't try to be different. You don't try to be Superman. You don't try to force the ball down the field for no reason. You just run the offense. Steelers kept it simple with Mason Rudolph, and it's paying off. That's why they're in the playoffs. But here against the Bills, not sure what to say. Honestly, this would have been my upset of the playoffs. I would have picked the Steelers over the Bills, but there's no TJ Watt. That's the only argument. If TJ Watt was here, everybody knows when the leader of a football team goes down, the team does not play the same. TJ Watt is the leader of this team. He is the face of the Steelers right now. Him not playing in this playoff game automatically lowers their chances to win. TJ Watt playing in this game changes the entire scope. I was willing to pick the Steelers if TJ Watt's playing, but he's not going to play. So the Bills are going to win this game. Yeah, TJ Watt wouldn't make... Do you not know who TJ Watt... Okay, all right, bro. Yeah, sure. TJ Watt wouldn't make a difference. All right, bro, sure. The guy that led the league in sacks is going to make zero difference, even if he played. All right, bro. That's cool. Steelers are like 1-10 without. Look at how the Steelers play with him versus without him, and to say he's not going to make plays. All right, with Josh Allen, who's been turning the ball over at a high level, this dude who's leading the league in sacks is not going to make a difference. Okay, that makes sense. So, he won't make a difference. When you've got a quarterback that's been he's leading the league in turnovers. Josh Allen's leading the league in turnovers with a combination of interceptions and fumbles. You don't think TJ Watt makes any level of a difference in this game? Are you sure? Yeah, he's got 44 touchdowns and 22 interceptions. Not 22. He's got 44 touchdowns and 22 turnovers. That's a 2 touchdown to 1 interception ratio. Not even 1 interception. A 2 touchdown to 1 turnover ratio. You don't know what you're going to get from Josh Allen. You can get a day where he throws 3 picks, or you can get a day where he throws 3 picks and 1 touchdown, and maybe 1 on the ground. And the game where he has 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers. He will make a difference. The fact that you're sitting back and saying that TJ Watt wouldn't make a difference, I don't even know if you actually watch Steelers football. The fact that you're saying that That's very interesting. That's very interesting. The fact that you're saying he would make no difference, really. I know you don't watch Steelers football. I know you don't pay attention to the AFC North to make that type of claim. And to just sit back and ignore because he's got 44 touchdowns. Yeah, let's just ignore the 22 turnovers that come with that because that has no way to influence or impact the game. A quarterback that's turning the ball over half the time, he's all right. I ain't even gonna go with that. Bills gonna win this game. We don't even need to discuss this. There's no TJ Watt at the end of the day. Even if Josh Allen turns the ball over, he will get stats, but he won't make a difference, really. So him, even though this guy's one of the actually one of the leading guys in forcing turnovers, he would make no difference in the win-loss columns. So if Josh Allen's out there turning the ball over 4 times, that doesn't affect the Bills at all. Doesn't matter. Steel's got no chance. Even like Josh Allen can turn the ball over 4 times, they're still gonna win this game, I guess. All right. Y'all Bills fans really be playing with this. Y'all sit back. If this was 2020 Josh Allen, I would sit back and say he's smoking them. But this Josh Allen this year has been turning the ball over at a high level, and Bills fans have continued to ignore this. Legitimately, they've continued to ignore this. They've continued to ignore this throughout and through. It's just Josh Allen's turned the ball over at a high level, and everyone's just buying into this thought that the Bills are going to get to the Super Bowl with their quarterback turning the ball over like this. All right, good luck with that. Just continue to ignore Josh Allen. Feel free to turn the ball over as many times as possible. You'll get to the Super Bowl playing like that. Absolutely. Oh, trust me. When Kansas City comes marching in next week, feel free to turn over the ball 3-4 times. You'll beat KC easily. Bill fans will hype up the 44 touchdowns. They'll ignore the 22 turnovers. And they wonder why it took them to the last week of the season to clinch their playoff spot. If Josh Allen cut down on half the turnovers, that's a 14-win team. But it's cool. It's cool. Anyway, Bills going to get this win. Steelers, again, they just don't have enough. Offensively, other than their run game, there's not much to really say about them offensively. They really do suck. There was no chance here. Bills should be able to win this. Weather's going to play a factor, but I still think the Bills are going to be able to take this pretty much get this done. Tom Brady threw 3 picks versus the Packers NFC Championship game, and they still went to the bowl, man. It's football. The game is not all about stats. But you're ignoring the fact that turnovers can affect the game. You cannot have a quarterback consistently. It's one thing if Tom Brady doesn't consistently turn the ball over. It's one thing if Josh Allen was occasionally turning the ball over like he was doing in 2020, like he was doing in 2021. This guy's been consistently turning the ball over, and you guys have been batting an eye to this. Let me ask you a question. If Josh Allen turns the ball over 3 times in Kansas City, are they coming away with a victory? If he throws 3 interceptions against the Chiefs in the divisional round, because we got Kansas City and Buffalo advancing. If Josh Allen turns the ball over 3 times not even going to be in Kansas City, it'll be in Buffalo. But if Josh Allen turns the ball over 3 times against the Chiefs, with the way that defense has played this year, you think the Bills are going to win that game? Playoffs are different games. That exactly plays to what I'm saying. Turnovers mean more in the playoffs, dude. Not even just talking about evaluating the regular season. A quarterback is heading into the playoffs, turning the ball over at a high level. Josh Allen has been known to be a turnover machine. This will be, his 3rd year leading the league in interceptions or in turnovers? You've got a quarterback that is a turnover machine heading into the playoffs. And in the playoffs, turnovers hurt you more. He's led the league in turnovers 4 years? Really? Someone check that. I'm not sure. You've got a quarterback that is literally a turnover machine, and Bills fans are wondering why they're not in the Super Bowl. Heading into the playoffs, turnovers mean more. Turnovers hurt you even more than in the regular season. So when you've got a quarterback turning the ball over at a high level, to sit back and ignore that aspect, that's not a good thing. If Josh turns the ball over multiple times, this team is in danger of winning. People are forgetting. Didn't they almost lose to the Chargers because of this? Teams can overcome it, but it's not going to be a consistent thing. If your quarterback is turning the ball over 3 times every single game, can you overcome that in the playoffs? Maybe for 1 game, but against the top tier talent, if you turn the ball over 3 times against Kansas City, you're not seeing the night of day. It's over for you. Teams can overcome it, but it shouldn't be a habit. And it's been a habit for the Bills, but everyone's turning a blind eye to it because, oh, the 44 touchdowns. Oh, the Josh Allen MVP case. When you are consistently turning the ball over, especially in the playoffs, that's tough to overcome. And that puts even more pressure on your defense. The same Bills defense that has folded in the playoffs in each of the last 3 years. I can't be crazy. I can't be the only one that's seeing how crazy this is. To just assume that the Bills can just overcome turnovers. Your logic did not work in the 2020 NFC Championship game. So you want me to pull up games where this worked? Hell, our game in 2019, Lamar Jackson turned the ball over 3 times. We couldn't overcome that. We had multiple times where we could have. Josh Allen last year turned the ball over multiple times against the Bills, not against the Bills, against the Bengals in his house. Did that work? Did they overcome that? Do you know how many times when you turn the ball over multiple times, it is not a consistent thing? Yes, there has been times where teams can overcome it. But to act like that is a consistent thing, no. When you are turning the ball over multiple times, you're not always going to be able to overcome that. Was Josh Allen was he able to overcome the 3 turnovers against the Jets when they lost in week 1? Was he able to overcome the turnovers against the Broncos when they lost? They're obviously a part of the game, but what you're doing is you're just ignoring the turnovers and saying they don't really matter. You can still overcome it. It's fine. You're accepting the turnovers. We know they're a part of the game, but you don't want it to happen. And yes, it's playoff football. Are you telling me turnovers don't affect the playoff? And when it comes to playoff games, you're saying turnovers don't matter? They don't affect the game at all. They don't affect the game at all. They don't affect the game. Turnovers in the playoffs don't affect the game at all. They're not crucial at all. They make no impact. Via regular or playoffs, they don't make an impact. Really? Is that the argument you're trying to make? And you can say we could judge in the regular season. We've seen both in the regular season and in the playoffs. We've seen that. Yes, turnovers are a part of the game. What you're doing is you're accepting these turnovers and you're not holding him accountable for turning the ball over and just sitting back and saying, well, he throws picks. It doesn't matter. He can still overcome that. So why haven't the Bills won a Super Bowl? Why haven't the Bills won a Super Bowl? Last year, in their house, Josh Allen turned the ball over multiple times. Why couldn't they overcome it? Why couldn't they overcome it? Yes, turnovers are a part of the game, but they're a huge aspect that hurts your team. How many times have analysts have said this? People that have played the game has said this. Like both analysts have said this, former players and current players speak about this. Turnovers are a major factor to the game. They're part of the game, but they are a major factor. When you can limit those turnovers, your chances to win games go up even more. When you turn the ball over multiple times, your chances of winning goes down. If turnovers are just a part of the game and they're just a simple stat and they don't affect it and they don't mean anything, why haven't the Bills made the Super Bowl? Why couldn't Josh Allen overcome his multiple turnovers at home last year against the Bengals? Because he turned the ball over there. Why couldn't he overcome it then? Because Tom Brady overcome it. Since Tom Brady's overcoming it, I guess everybody can overcome it. That's not how it always works. There have been games where you can overcome turnovers, absolutely. Both in the regular season and the playoffs. You turn the ball over, there's been times where you can overcome it. But when you're consistently doing it, in some of the biggest moments and some of the most important parts of the game, that can kill a game. And the fact that everyone's just ignoring the fact that this guy is turning the ball over at a high level and just saying, well, it doesn't matter, he can overcome that, that's wild to me. Because the Bills haven't even sniffed the Super Bowl, but they still have this mindset. So again, if turnovers don't really make much of an impact, the guy since he's been in the league, no one has turned the ball over more than Josh Allen. Since he has been in the league, since he came in the league in 2018, nobody has more turnovers than Josh Allen. If those turnovers don't have an impact, why haven't the Bills made a Super Bowl? Anyway, Bills gonna get the win. And again, you don't seem to understand. Of course we know quarterbacks turn the ball over. And of course we know it's part of the game. What you're not acknowledging is how much impact those turnovers have on the game. That's what you're legitimately not even. Are you actually comprehending what I'm saying? Are you actually comprehending what I'm saying? I have on several occasions acknowledged that quarterbacks turn the ball over. I have on several occasions acknowledged it's part of the game. But you have yet to acknowledge how much of an impact those turnovers have on the game. And you just keep repeating the same thing. Well, quarterbacks turn the ball over. It's a part of the game. Why don't you get it? It's because you need to understand football is a dynamic game, man. They're going to throw picks. But again, are you even listening to what I'm saying, dude? Are you comprehending what I'm saying? We all acknowledge turnovers are a part of the game. We all acknowledge that sometimes in games, you're going to throw picks. You're going to turn the ball over. What you seem to be ignoring is how much of an impact turnovers have on the game. Like, Chad, am I crazy on this? Am I crazy on this? So cool, you need to evaluate the teams by wins and losses. Go look at the win-loss record when teams are turning the ball over multiple times. Am I losing my mind here? Am I the only one that's seeing this, Chad? We've acknowledged, don't waste your time, and I know, but this is just crazy. The excuses people make for this dude Josh Allen. And I love Josh Allen. I want to see 2020 Josh Allen. I want 2021 Josh Allen that threw 5 touchdowns against the Patriots in the wild card round and didn't turn the ball over once. That's the Josh Allen I want. The fact that just making excuses for his turnovers and saying it's part of the game to excuse this, it's crazy. At this point, you got to be trolling because there's no logical sense. We've acknowledged quarterbacks make mistakes. We acknowledge turnovers are a part of the game. We acknowledge all of this. But to just blatantly ignore how much impact turnovers have on the games, both in the regular season, the playoffs, and just writing like, oh, well, quarterbacks can overcome that and teams can overcome that, as if it's a good thing to be turning the ball over in the first place and it doesn't put your team in danger of losing, it's crazy. Everybody knows the games are about wins and losses. We obviously know that, but you're ignoring the impact turnovers have on wins and losses. You keep talking about turnovers are a part of the game, but you're not talking about the impact those turnovers have on wins and losses. Go look at the win-loss record when teams turn the ball over multiple times. Since you're all about wins and losses, go do the research. Go look at the win-loss record both in the regular season and the postseason when teams turn the ball over multiple times. Since it's about wins and losses, you're a win-loss guy. Please go look at the data. When teams turn the ball over multiple times, what's the win-loss record? Please, since you're a win-loss guy, since you don't seem to understand that turnovers impact the game, please go look at the stats. Go look at the win-loss record when teams turn the ball over multiple times. And see if it matches what you're trying to say. Because it's about wins and losses, right? It's about wins and losses. Turnovers don't match. Please go look at the win-loss records when teams turn the ball over multiple times, both in the regular season and the playoffs, and see if it matches the statement you're saying. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, bro. The craziness you just see. The craziest. No, bro, nightmare. Some people aren't trolling. They will die on takes like this. If it's wins and losses, why didn't the 16-0 Patriots, why did they lose to the Giants? Well, I guess, it didn't matter there. Funny thing about that, Abbas, that you bring that up. You know what would have changed the game for the Patriots? If Asante Samuel would have got that turnover. Oh my, if he picks off Eli Manning, the Patriots win. It's like turnovers can actually have an impact on the game. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow, it's crazy. It's crazy. What's going on, Brandon? It's cool. We just chilling right now. It's crazy. I'm glad you brought that up, Abbas. If Asante Samuel picks off Eli Manning at that point, the Patriots win the Super Bowl. It's like turnovers actually can impact the game. I can't believe it. I actually can't believe it. Wow. Turnovers can impact the game? Oh, man, I didn't know that. We just played a game. I didn't know turnovers can actually impact the game. Chiefs fall off there. They're done. I won't be surprised if they're out the first or second round. I expect them to beat the Dolphins. I got them beating the Dolphins here. Like, I do got them beating the Dolphins. That's, the Dolphins are a mess right now. Injuries are piling up left and right. I'm not sure what they, the only thing the Dolphins can lean on is their running game. And I think that has to be the aspect. Mostert and HN are going to take a bulk of the carries, and they have to be the ones to get it done. Okay, man. So, bro, you've yet to acknowledge the impact turnovers have on the football game. Come on, dude. Like, no. It's not even about agreeing to disagree. I completely agree with your assessment that teams can overcome turnovers. We've seen it happen, but you've yet to understand the impact turnovers have on the game. When you're turning the ball over multiple times, it has an impact on the game. And in some cases, they cost you. Didn't we just see the Dolphins lose a game where Tua... you know what? All right, I'm going to get back to these picks. The takes that some of you guys... The way y'all will go to bat and defend some of your favorite players, bro. I can't believe this. Oh, my God. Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. Yeah, turnovers don't have an impact, bro. They have no impact. You're exactly. Yeah, they have zero impact to the game, man. Man, if only Asante Samuel could have got that pick, it would have made no impact towards the Patriots going 19-0 in that Super Bowl. Woo. Oh, wait. Super Bowl 49. Super Bowl 49. The pick at the 1 yard line. It's like turnovers can change the game. They make an impact. Stafford threw 2 picks in the Super Bowl and he walked away with a ring and a dub. Well, guess what? Russell Wilson threw a pick in Super Bowl 49 and the Seahawks lost. Asante Samuel dropped an interception and the Giants lost. It's like picks have an impact on the game. You continue to refuse to accept that. I have stated on multiple occasions. They are a part of the game. Quarterbacks can make mistakes. Turnovers happen. Straight up. But you've refused, and again, you can still overcome turnovers because Mahomes threw 2 picks against the Niners in the Super Bowl. And yeah, but the pick, I'm done wasting my time with this. The pick by Wilson was fixed. I'm done wasting my time with this. I done spend. I think that was enough entertainment for the chat, right? We done spend 20 minutes going back and forth with a troll. I'm not wasting my time on this. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. We're done with this troll. Jesus, man. Wow, that's a new one. Let's go to the next game. What's happening after Bills and Packers and Cowboys is up next. Oh my God. Everything in my power. Nothing would make me happier. As a person that often laughs at the misery of Cowboys fans, nothing would make me happier than to pick the Packers to win this game. I've also come out and said, if Jordan Love can lead this team to a victory against Green Bay, he officially graduates. He graduates from the Green Bay School of Quarterbacks. If they beat the Cowboys, because that's usually your final exam. If Jordan Love goes into Dallas and upsets the Cowboys, Jordan Love graduates from the Packers quarterback school. He automatically graduates. But there's not much of a discussion. It's the Cowboys. Cowboys are undefeated at home. Cowboys have one of the best offenses in football. Dak is having an MVP type season. The defense is much better at home than on the road. Meanwhile, the Packers defense is garbage. They're terrible. And who is it? Is it Joe Brady that's over here talking about that's managing that defense? The Packers defense is terrible. They're trash. If the Packers have any chance to win this game, Jordan Love needs to put up 30 points. Jordan Love needs to put up 30 plus points if they have any shot at beating the Cowboys. Anything under than 30, Cowboys are winning this game. It's going to be the Cowboys. They have the better offense. They have the better defense. They've got the better quarterback in this situation. The only way the Cowboys lose this game is if they choke. And at some point, you got to get tired of it, okay? It's fun laughing at the Cowboys' misery, but, like, come on, bro. At some point, it just gets embarrassing and sad. There's no reason the Cowboys should lose. So let's not even try to troll here. If the Packers get the win, Jordan Love graduates as a Packers quarterback. If the Packers pull off the upset, he graduates. No question. He graduates as a Packers quarterback because it's a tradition for Packers quarterbacks to beat Cowboys. So Aaron Rodgers established that. Same thing for Brett Favre. But yeah, he'll graduate as a quarterback if he goes into Dallas. He'll graduate as a Packers quarterback. Let me be specific. He'll graduate as a Packers quarterback if he beats the Cowboys on Sunday. But I just don't see that happening. Next up, we've got the best wild card matchup of the week. Like nothing matches up to this. We've got the Detroit Lions taking on the LA Rams. Oh God. Oh man. Where do we start? Let's start with the Lions. The Lions win their first NFC North Divisional title in franchise history. This is their first divisional title in 30 years. Therefore, it is their first home playoff game in 30 years. The Lions have had an incredible season. There's been some ups and downs. There's been some concerns, and there will be some concerns because we know Laporta got injured, but he might be able to go. Even if he does go, he's not going to be at 100%. But there's been a lot of ups and downs for the Lions. But what Dan Campbell's been able to do with this team and the resurgence of Jared Goff has been just a beautiful thing to see. Just a beautiful thing to see. So the Lions at home, I believe they are favored to win this game with the way they've played all season. They are definitely a team that people believe if they could get to the next round and take on a team like Dallas, they believe they could potentially be in the NFC title game. They believe they can get it. So if the Lions win, I believe they're going to go to Dallas, no question, because Dallas is the 2 seed and Cowboys. No, Cowboys are the 2 seed and Lions are the 3 seed. But yeah, Lions, man, it's so much for them. Not to mention the storyline for Jared Goff. He gets to go up against his former team, the team that drafted him, the team that he helped take to a Super Bowl. He didn't take him there, but helped get to a Super Bowl. This is a guy that went to Super Bowl with the Rams in 2018 and couldn't get it done. A 13-3 Super Bowl loss, and because of that, the franchise looked at him and said, "You're not good enough to get us to where we want to be to. So we're trading you to Detroit to get a quarterback that can help us get to the promised land." Jared Goff gets to go up against that former team that tossed him aside. And his career was just on a downhill. He comes to Detroit and he revives his career. And now he has the ultimate chance to get revenge on the franchise that tossed him aside and thought he was done and he couldn't get them. And he couldn't be successful and he would never get back to that form that he was showcasing in 2018. Straight up. Revenge story for Goff. On the flip side, there's no revenge aspect here. Nothing but emotion. The Rams have had an interesting season. It's been a season of ups and downs. It started down. They were dealing with injuries. Cooper Kupp got hurt. Matthew Stafford was hurt. They didn't really have much here. But two individuals emerged for the Rams and ultimately led to the turnaround of the season. Now, yeah, they were dealing with injuries defensively, and they were able to get healthy, and you see Aaron Donald returning to form. But these two players I'm talking about completely changed the season around. Kyren Williams, number 1. Actually, number 2. Kyren Williams, number 2. And number 1, this dude, Puka Nacua, who just put up the greatest rookie regular season we've ever seen. The resurgence, the play by these two individuals led to the resurgence. Stafford got healthy. Cooper Kupp got healthy. And you add Cooper Kupp to the weapons they have here. You add Cooper Kupp alongside Puka. And they do have Demarcus Robinson, who's actually been playing well down the stretch of the season. So you've got Kupp. You've got Puka. You've got Robinson, who's playing well. You've got Williams. Stafford has gotten healthy. The defense has gotten healthy. And all of a sudden, you get a turnaround of a season. And they find their way back to the postseason. This is a Rams team that I have straight up, on several occasions over the last few weeks, I have declared them to be the biggest threat to the Niners, a divisional rival that plays well against the Niners. That right there is legit. Higbee's another person that can ball out too. That is a threat that no one really wants to speak of. Out of every team in the postseason right now, this Rams team, out of every team in the NFC playoffs, this Rams team has the most postseason experience. Now, the Eagles did get to a Super Bowl last year, but the Rams got there and won, and it was in their building. The Rams know what it takes to go on a playoff run. They have the tools to go on a playoff run. Will they be able to pull it off? I do not believe so, but they have the tools to do so. In a game like this, where Matthew Stafford gets to go back home. He gets to go back to the franchise he was drafted with and made his career. A franchise he spent nearly 15 years with, over a decade of playing football in Detroit, trying his very best to uplift this city and bring them a title, and falling short. And everybody knowing it's not Stafford's fault. Everybody knew if Stafford can just get off of that Detroit team and go to a better team in a better situation, this guy can win a Super Bowl. The very first year he gets traded, he wins the Super Bowl. He gets to go back home and play in Detroit for the first time since he was first traded away. This game is the best game of Wild Card Weekend. This game has the best narrative, has the best story. You've got two quarterbacks that were traded for each other. One quarterback that was seen, a young quarterback that was seen on the ends, like his career was just going to go on a downhill. And a quarterback that needed the right team and the right situation to put a Super Bowl championship next to his resume. Because he already had the numbers. He just needed a championship. They traded, and it ended up working out for both sides. It's not often that you see a trade work out for both sides. The Lions needed a young quarterback to build around as they started to rebuild after the Matthew Stafford era, and it worked out for them perfectly. The Rams needed a quarterback. They needed a quarterback that was going to help them win a championship now, and they got that in Matthew Stafford. So at the end of the day, I think that trade was it was completely even. Everybody got what they needed and what they wanted, and now we sit here and watch these two go at it. I can't lie to you, man. I can't lie to you. I want to pick the Lions. I want to pick the Lions to win this game. I legit want to pick the Lions. I legit want to pick the Lions. But I got to take the Rams in this one. I got to take the Rams in this one. It's crazy. I only have one upset. I have one upset in the playoffs. And this is the upset. It's a tough one to make. But I said I had one upset. And this is my upset. This is my upset. I have one upset in the playoffs, and this is my upset. I've been the one to say that the biggest threat to the Niners is the Rams. I'm not going to walk away from that. I'm not going to retract that statement. With the weapons that they have, with Matthew Stafford being healthy, with Cooper Kupp there, with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and Higbee and Demarcus Robinson and Williams, and that Rams defense returning to form. Not to mention the impact of Laporta, one of the best players on that Lions team, being hurt. That's going to factor in. I got to pick the Rams in this one. This is the only upset I have here. Honestly. The only upset I have here. And that's going to wrap that up. Now we got to go to this one. Oh, boy. Bucks and Eagles, Monday night, wildcard round. I don't really care. I don't want to talk about either one of these teams. Honestly, it don't matter who you pick, it's not an upset. It don't matter who you pick, it's not an upset. If the Bucks win, it's not an upset. The Eagles have been garbage for 6 weeks, and they're falling apart. If the Eagles win, it's not an upset, because on paper, from a talent perspective, they're supposed to win. It's not an upset. It's honestly not an upset, however you go. It's not an upset. This is a tough one. This is a tough one to really pick, because no matter who you pick, it's not an upset. The Bucks have not been great this year. They have not been great. They've played in the worst division in football. They've had some up and down moments. But they were the team I picked to win the division. And they did. They were able to clutch up and win the division. So shout out to the Bucks for doing that. And they actually did have a better season this year than they had last year. So that is a good thing. Baker's had a great year for them, and that definitely stands out. And it's a lot of great things. Meanwhile, Philadelphia, they've been questionable all season. They've been suspect all season, but the Eagles fans wanted to ignore that because they were 10-1, And then they started losing to teams that they shouldn't have lost to. They started losing to the Seahawks. They started losing to the Cardinals. They started losing to the Giants. They got destroyed by the Cowboys. They started losing games they shouldn't have lost. They got embarrassed by the Giants last week, and they played their starters in that first half. Down 24-0 with your starters there. To make matters worse, A.J. Brown gets injured. I believe they said he is going to play in this game, or he is somewhat questionable for this game. But A.J. Brown gets hurt. Jalen Hurts was dealing with a knee injury. Now he's dealing with some sort of finger injury. So he's banged up. A.J. Brown's banged up. The team has not been the same. The defense has been garbage. One of the worst defenses in football. There's nothing here, man. There's nothing here. I went back and forth with this. Left, right, up, and down. I went back and forth with this, dog. I went back and forth with this. There's no Devontae Smith? Did they say there's no Devontae Smith? Oh, he's big. Bucks are going to take this, bro. Let me tell you right now. The Bucks have weapons to utilize. When you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, my God. My God, listen to me when I say this. If you look at the offensive weapons Tampa has, and you look at how awful the Eagles' defense has been, there's no way the Bucs are not going to eat against these guys. There's no way the Bucs are not going to put up points against that sorry garbage defense that is being run by Matt Patricia. Trash! Arguably the worst defense in football this season. Arguably. Given the talent they have and the way they've played, arguably the worst defense in football. Bucs offense looked terrible the last 2 weeks. So has the Eagles offense. And their defense has looked awful too. Like I said, bro, it's not an upset no matter who you pick. If you take the Bucs, it's not an upset because the Eagles have been trashed over the last 6 weeks. If you pick the Eagles, it's not an upset because the Eagles on paper have more talent, so they should be better. The Eagles have not showed me anything within the last 6 weeks. You're bringing up the Bucs being terrible the last 2 weeks. The Eagles have been terrible the last 6 weeks. The Eagles have been terrible the last 6 weeks against teams under 500. The Eagles have not shown me anything that I can latch onto. A.J. Brown deleting every sort of Eagles-related content from his Instagram and then deleting his Twitter and Instagram. Jalen Hurts coming up with these amazing speeches that just seems like it doesn't matter that we're taking losses. We're going to grow from this. Every loss we take is a moment of reflection because we get to reflect on our mistakes. Then we get to work on our mistakes so that we can come out there and play better. It doesn't matter that we got blown out by 24. A blowout is just a lesson to take. It just shows that we got to start the game better. We shouldn't start off 24-0. And we know that. I'm tired of hearing Jalen Hurts go up to the podium and say that, bro. I'm tired of that. A.J. Brown's injured. Devontae Smith's banged up. Jalen Hurts is banged up. The defense has been garbage. There's nothing here. I've been waiting the last 6 weeks for the Eagles to show me something that I can hold on to. They show me nothing. The Buccaneers' offense has been terrible, but their defense has been doing their job. And considering the fact that the Eagles' offense has been terrible all season, they've just found a way to get it done. Look at how the Eagles' offense has played all season in the first half. Garbage. They've been terrible all year offensively in the first half. They've just been able to pull off magic in the second half. Now, they're not pulling off that magic in the second half, and they're losing. I'm just saying the Bucs have only faced one playoff team in the last 7 games. Like I'm saying, bro, neither one of these teams are good. It don't matter who wins this game. They're just asking for a beating in the second round. Neither one of these teams are good. They've only faced off against one playoff team in the last 7 games. We've watched the Eagles lose against multiple teams under 500 that aren't even playoff teams. And the one playoff team they played, they got destroyed. That was the Cowboys. Nothing is there. If you're a betting man, stay away from this game. There's nothing to be gained from this game. I'm picking the Bucs. The Eagles have to show me something. They've shown me nothing over the last month and a half of football. I've seen nothing from them that will make me believe they can win a playoff game. And with the injuries piling up and the team being disconnected, no. No. The Eagles have to show me something. The Eagles have to show me something. I'm taking the Bucs in this one. The Eagles need to show me something. I spent all week saying, let me take the Eagles. Let me take the Eagles. And every day it just keeps getting worse, and all these reports are coming out about injuries and how divided that team is. There's nothing there. They don't even look or act like a football team. How can I trust if there's no connection, there's no good chemistry or communication within the team? How can I believe you're going to go out there and put it together? I have to see it to believe it. Would I be surprised if the Eagles win? Absolutely not. On talent, they're the better team. They should blow these guys out. But would I be surprised if the Buccaneers pull off the upset at home? No. I've got nothing from this game. It's just empty stats. It's an empty game. It's an empty stat number. It's an empty playoff game. Honestly, nobody cares for this game. Because they're just waiting to get beat in the second round. That's what it's all about. So those are my picks for Wild Card Weekend. Browns over Texans, Chiefs over Dolphins, Bills over Steelers, Cowboys over Packers, Rams over Lions, Buccaneers over Eagles. That would probably put us in the divisional round. If we were to get this matchup, I'll do it straight up because, when it comes to division rounds, we're not doing this. But if we were to get these matchups in the divisional round, obviously we don't know a date in which this would happen, so I'm just going to go left to right. NFC matchups, Rams and Niners. I did say the Rams are the biggest threat to the Niners, but I'm not wasting time with this. Taking the Niners. I've said the Niners are the best team in the NFC. The Niners are my pick to go to the Super Bowl. I said that before the season. I've been saying it throughout the season. I said the Niners were better than the Eagles coming into the year. I said the Niners are going to the Super Bowl. That's my pick, so I have no reason to change that. So, yeah, Niners over Rams. Will it be a tough game? Yeah, because the Rams somehow, man, they are able to compete with the Niners. They keep it close. And I would not underestimate Stafford in that offense in terms of what weapons they have. But I trust in the Niners defense and what they've been able to do. And I trust in the offensive weapons. I trust in Christian McCaffrey. I trust in George Kittle. I trust in Brandon Ayuk. I trust in Deebo Samuel. All Purdy has to do is make sure he puts the ball in the hands of those guys and let them do the rest of the work. I'm taking the Niners to win that matchup. Cowboys, Buccaneers, not wasting my time with this. Cowboys being at home for another playoff game against the Buccaneers team that is garbage and shouldn't be here. But the NFC South has to have somebody represented. It's going to be a repeat of what we saw last year. It's just Dak's going to feast on this sorry team, and the Cowboys are going to finally be able to do it. They're going to get to the NFC title game. The hope is that they can do that, assuming they don't blow it against the Packers. And if the Lions, I'll say this, if they don't blow it against the Packers, or if they blow it against the Packers, it's time to make some serious changes. If they don't blow it against the Packers and the Lions get there, Cowboys and Lions is something we actually are going to have to talk about. Cowboys and Lions are actually something that we have to talk about. Legitimately. If the Cowboys get anybody in the second... Okay, maybe if it's the Eagles, they might be able to win that one. But if the Cowboys get the Buccaneers in the second round, they're going to the NFC title game. That Buccaneers team is not beating the Dallas Cowboys. But if it's the Lions that come to town, which again, we're doing hypothetical. If the Lions beat the Rams and they end up going to Dallas, woo! That's a conversation, ladies and gentlemen. That's a conversation. That is a conversation that has to be made. Okay. Next up, Chiefs-Bills. Oh, boy. I already know this is going to be controversial. I know a lot of people just sitting back, already looking to pick the Bills. This infatuation with the Bills, I don't seem to understand it. Every year you guys talk about this Bills team going to the Super Bowl and Josh Allen for MVP, and every year that doesn't happen. Every year you talk about Josh Allen for MVP, and every year you talk about Bills going to the Super Bowl. And every year they disappoint you. But the media gets on the same Kool-Aid nonsense every single year. What have you seen from this Bills team in some of these final games of the season that makes you truly trust them? I'm going to say this right now. Neither one of these teams are trustworthy based on what we've seen in the regular season. But playoffs are a different animal. And that's where we have to look at how things have gone. In terms of who has the better defense, it's Kansas City. Kansas City has given up 30 points once in the last 30 plus games. They haven't given up a single 30-point performance all season. That's why they're in this position. That defense has done a carry job for the offense. It's crazy to say this during the Patrick Mahomes era, but the Chiefs defense carried Mahomes this year. The Chiefs defense carried Mahomes. Straight up. Offensively, the Chiefs are terrible. They're terrible offensively. Mahomes still has great numbers, though. Give them credit for that. Mahomes still has great numbers because Mahomes is going to get his no matter what. But this Chiefs offense is terrible, and it's because their receivers continue to disappoint them. Meanwhile, for the Buffalo Bills, their defense has been shaky throughout the season, but they've started to come to form, and they've made some plays down the stretch to help their team. Offensively, again, they have been shaky, but they've found ways to win games. I don't trust in the Bills. I don't trust in the receivers of the Chiefs. What I do trust is in Patrick Mahomes, who is a two-time Super Bowl champion, who's gotten it done time and time and time again in the playoffs. I trust in Patrick Mahomes. I trust in Travis Kelce, who has been able to perform in the playoffs time and time and time and time again. And he is a two-time Super Bowl champion, and he's the best tight end in football. I trust in Andy Reid, the best offensive-minded coach in football. What he's done with Mahomes and this Chiefs team, a lot. I trust in those three guys. I don't trust in the receivers. I trust in those three guys. And I love what I've seen from the Chiefs defense. Y'all can feel however y'all want to feel about this. Y'all can feel however you want to feel about this. But I'm not betting against those three people I spoke of. Until somebody shows me. When we saw Cincinnati pull off the upset, we sat back and said they can do it. Because they showed us they can. How many times has the Bills folded to the Chiefs? Show me. I'm not putting my faith and trust in you until you can show me. I got the Chiefs winning this one. Absolutely. Had the Bills been playing much better football, honestly, I could have picked the Bills. But the Bills, again, the Bills have been they have been a team I just cannot trust. They've been a team I cannot trust. Go watch how they've been winning games here, man. Go watch how they've been winning games. And how close they were to losing these games if it wasn't for a couple things going their way in those situations. Or at least it was just them being able to escape from their own incompetence at times. The Bills... It'll be a close game. It'll be a tough game. I don't trust the Chiefs. I trust Patrick Mahomes. I trust Travis Kelce. I trust Andy Reid. And I like their defense. That's why I'm picking the Chiefs. Honestly, if their receivers catch the football, they're not losing this game. So I got Chiefs over Bills. And we've got the most interesting matchup of the divisional round. This one, if this was to be the matchup, you have Flacco coming to Baltimore. Oh boy. The emotions that will be there. If I gotta talk about that, that's a whole video. The emotions that will be there in that game would be grand. For Flacco, this honestly, this divisional game means a lot. I looked at it and sat back and said, for Ravens, this doesn't really mean much for us in terms of the matchup in history. But this means everything to Cleveland. All this means everything to Cleveland. To Baltimore, this doesn't mean much. It's a divisional right. The only thing that we can hold, the only thing that we can sit back and say that is significant to us is, well, this team is the last team we lost to. And they came to Baltimore and beat us with Deshaun Watson. So we want to get revenge. That's the only story and narrative we could talk about. But there's nothing that really pulls us into this where it's like, oh, we got something to lose in this situation. We're zoned in. For Cleveland, this is everything for them. This is everything for Cleveland. Joe Flacco gets to come back to Baltimore and go up against his former team. He gets to come back to the team he was drafted to. He comes back to the team he was drafted to. The same franchise he played a decade of his career with. The same franchise he won a Super Bowl with. He gets to come back here and go up against this team. Not to mention the Browns every time. They will never get over it. They will always bring it up. Art Modell moving the team from Cleveland to Baltimore. How fitting would it be for those Browns to knock off the Ravens in their house in a playoff game when the Ravens just put together one of the best seasons in their franchise history? Oh man, Cleveland has everything. This game is everything to Cleveland. It doesn't mean much to the Ravens other than a tough, fierce divisional opponent that they got to beat. But to Cleveland, this is everything. And you know those guys are going to play with everything on the line. Defensively, it feels like it's a toss-up. But again, I pointed out, the injuries has made it very difficult. This Browns defense is not the same Browns defense we saw come to play Baltimore when they faced off against us. The injuries they've severely decimated this team. Meanwhile, the Ravens defense has only gotten better. They're the number one scoring defense. They're number one in takeaways, and they're number one in sacks. This defense is doing what they need to do. And they've played at the highest level. They've played at the highest level. This is a team that's been able to dominate opponents that are all in the playoffs. They've dominated the Niners. They've dominated the Dolphins. They've dominated the Lions. This is a team and a defense that isn't afraid of anyone. And what they have on the field, the way they play, with the way Mike McDonald has them playing, if those guys are playing their A game, when they're getting to the quarterback and they're forcing turnovers, they're not going to be beat. Offensively, that's where we talk about this whole situation. See, here's the thing. Everyone brings up 2019 for the defense, but people forget that's the only year you can really point to the defense not doing their job. Because, in 2020, the defense held the Titans to 13 points. And again, they held the Bills to 10 points offensively. And then last year, we saw what the defense did against Joe Burrow. They held them to 17 points. Turnovers ultimately determined that game. It ultimately changed the aspect of that game. It's always been the offense that hasn't been able to get it done in the postseason, which is why we turn to the offense and we look at Lamar Jackson and this offense. Oh boy, there's a lot of pressure on this young man. Lamar and Dak are the two most quarterbacks with the most to gain and the most to lose. A Super Bowl for Dak changes everything. A Super Bowl for Lamar feeds generations, bro. I'm telling you right now. There's a whole lot of pressure on both those quarterbacks. Now, it's going to be very funny, and I'm very interested to see this. Ravens flock, I got to tell you this right now. I've been on the record saying I have zero fear, I have zero concern, I have zero worry when it comes to this divisional round matchup. I believe this team, with what they've been able to do and how they've been able to play this season, not to mention the fact that they keep bringing up 2019, which clearly shows it's still in their mind. The way they've played, the way they've looked, the way they've been able to get it done, the fact that we finally have a defensive leader, a leader of the defense in Roquan Smith, and all of this put together, so many changes to get to this point, I feel confident in what they've done this season. They're going to bring it to the playoffs, they're going to get it done, and they're going to get to the dance. That's what I believe. So I don't have any worries or any concerns. But I know a lot of Ravens fans have concerns. But let me tell you what the actual concern is. The concern isn't about getting to the dance. The concern is about getting out of the divisional round. That's just it. That's just it. I can tell you this right now. If, for every single Ravens fan, I don't care who the opponent is, Browns, Dolphins, Texans, Steelers, if the Ravens go out there next Saturday or next Sunday and blow out the opponent they're facing off against in the divisional matchup, there's not a single Ravens fan that's going to sit here and say, oh, we're not going to the Super Bowl. There's not a single Ravens fan that's going to have any doubt. Because we've had issues, even in the past, we've had issues getting out of the divisional round. We've had issues getting out of the divisional round. And in this era with Lamar Jackson, we still have those issues getting out of the divisional round. If we can get out of that round, there's not a doubt in anybody's mind. There's not a doubt in any Ravens fan's mind that they won't get to the Super Bowl and win if they can get out of the divisional round. So that's really where the concern is. The concern isn't about the AFC title game or the Super Bowl. It's about the divisional round. If the Ravens come out here, make a statement, and blow out their opponent in the divisional round, nobody's going to have any concerns about this team moving forward. Nobody. But it's just that game. So until we see them win that game, the concerns are going to be at an all-time high. Now again, we know the defense has been showing up in the playoffs. We expect them to show up in the playoffs. But what about the offense? Well, I think it comes down to two people. Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken. It's really just it. It's really just it. We can start with Todd Monken. Todd Monken, the way he's changed this offense for the better has been great. What about Zay Flowers? We'll get into that. I'm talking about the two most important people. The two most important people. Our quarterback and our offensive coordinator. Because that's where the blame's going every time we've lost. What Todd Monken's been able to do with this team and how he's been able to completely change his offense has been huge. Under Greg Roman, Lamar Jackson was stuck in a limited offensive scheme where he had no freedom to do anything. The scheme focused on running the football out of the pistol, having Lamar participate in design runs, and keeping everything condensed and just throwing the ball inside the numbers and throwing the ball in the middle of the field. That's where the offense was. They were not a team that really wanted to test the perimeter, utilize their receivers, and throw the ball outside the numbers. They weren't. That was the offense under Greg Roman. Another aspect, when that offensive plan did not work, Greg Roman didn't have an adjustment. When that offensive scheme did not work, when we couldn't just run the football and utilize Lamar Jackson with the design runs, when we couldn't do that, Greg Roman's offense crumbled, and he had no response, no adjustments. And that was a big part of why we couldn't win football games in the postseason. Todd Monken has an opportunity to showcase why he deserves to be here. He has done that throughout the regular season. But why should he be here moving forward? He has a chance to do that. Because he's done what Roman hasn't been able to do. One, implement an actual passing scheme that can be successful and effective in the NFL. But most importantly, he's given Lamar Jackson the keys and has allowed Lamar Jackson to be free and actually do his job as a quarterback. Another element is he actually does make adjustments. This offense isn't just condensing the field and attacking the middle of the field. No, we spread it out. We spread it out. We'll attack you in the middle of the field, but we'll attack you outside in the perimeter. We'll attack you inside the numbers, outside the numbers. We'll hit you in the perimeter. We're not afraid to line up and target outside the numbers with our receivers. We're not. And Todd Monken knows how to dial it up. Not to mention, he knows how to make adjustments. So we're going to see what adjustments he can make going up against the Browns defense, assuming we do get to see them. No matter what defense, Browns defense, Texans defense, whoever, we know he can make adjustments. We've seen him make the adjustments throughout the season. It's going to be a good test for him. And then, of course, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has gotten a narrative of being a playoff choker. He has not performed well in the playoffs. People tend to forget that the team as a whole has not performed well in the playoffs, and the offense as a whole has not performed well in the playoffs. But as the quarterback, you're going to get the most blame. No one seems to care about the fact that 7 passes were dropped. 3 of those passes would have been touchdowns in that matchup against the Titans. No one cares. Because at the end of the day, Lamar did turn the ball over multiple times. And those turnovers were what people focused on. The turnovers were what he focused on. Some of the bad plays he's made were focused on. No one really held the others accountable, but they focused on that aspect. But like I said, in the playoffs, Lamar hasn't been great, but there are aspects and reasons to that. And one of them has to be Greg Roman as well. Like I said, Lamar Jackson never had the freedom to actually do his job as a quarterback. He never had the freedom. To actually do his job as a quarterback. He couldn't make adjustments at the line of scrimmage. He couldn't call audibles. He didn't have the freedom to be able to take advantage of certain matchups in the playoff and certain matchups in the game. If he saw a mismatch with the receiver, he couldn't change the play because Greg Roman wouldn't allow him to. And there wouldn't be any time on the clock because he would have to get the ball snapped with 1 second left. Lamar Jackson now has the freedom to actually do his job as a quarterback. When he gets everybody set and he's looking at the defense, he has the freedom to make adjustments. If there's a mismatch he sees, he has the freedom to call an audible. He's been doing that all season long. And it's been highly successful when he's done that. You take that element. You take that element of Lamar Jackson being a much better passer in a prototypical drop back passing NFL scheme. You take that into account. Look at how he's throwing the ball inside and outside the numbers. In fact, if you take a look at his stats, technically when you compare the 2019 season to now, you'll see a difference. Lamar Jackson actually has career numbers in a lot of passing statistics. It's just that he doesn't have career numbers in touchdowns. That is an element that he's improved on. And because he's been able to improve on that, you feel like he's finally taken that next step. And that's why this year, for the first time, people actually sit back and say, okay, he looks like the quarterback that, Ravens fans have been saying he is for years. A guy that can actually, even though we already know he could do this, people have been saying it for years. He can't read defense. He can't deal with pressure. He can't throw outside the numbers. He can't make adjustments. He can't call audibles. He's not good at none of those things. Every single one of those narratives he has shattered in the regular season. All that's left is for him to do it in the postseason. The man has, not to mention, the biggest difference to Lamar this year has been his mentality and his leadership. We talked about this on the stream. I showed you 2019 Lamar and I showed you 2023 Lamar. His mentality and his leadership are the two biggest aspects, the two biggest differences. The two biggest differences between Lamar in 2019 and Lamar in 2023. Those are the two biggest differences. So all that's left for Lamar Jackson to do is prove it in the playoffs. And until people see him do that, they're not going to believe in him. Overall, when you look at these two teams, offensively, defensively, quarterbacks, coaching, whatever you want to put up, the Ravens are a better team. Obviously, the pick's going to be the Ravens here. They are the better team. I believe this is the time they finally get it done. If you've been paying attention to the Ravens for the last several weeks, it's been nothing but talks about 2019 and making sure they don't make those mistakes and they don't repeat what they were doing there. But yeah, I think the biggest pressure is on Lamar Jackson, but what he's done this season and how much he's improved in every aspect, especially his pocket presence. The amount of improvement that man has made in his pocket presence has just been beautiful to see. So it's all about them putting it together. It's up to them to get it done. It's up to them to get it done. Lamar also held onto the ball too long. Yeah, he has in the past postseason. Good news is this year he's not holding onto the ball too long. He's actually, taking the check down. Back in 2019, he was not taking check downs and he was trying to air it out down the field. This year, he's actually been taking check downs a lot more. He's been taking check downs. He's been getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And when there's not enough time, he'll usually scramble to buy time and find somebody downfield, similar to what Mahomes and Allen does. Instead of just, in the past, they're trying to juke guys. No, he's actually looking downfield and making plays there. So Lamar has improved in this game and has changed up how he's played compared to when we've last seen him in the playoffs. Yeah, we've seen dominant Lamar before. This ain't the first time, absolutely. But at the end of the day, when you're a quarterback that grows and improves, you would at least have to hope you would learn from that. Again, you're free to make your assessment. I don't think anyone that believes that has questions about Lamar Jackson in the postseason is wrong. I don't think you should be judged for having those type of assessments. Like I said, until Lamar Jackson does it, no one's going to buy into it. Even though we know he's made the improvements. We've seen him make the improvements. Got to do it in the playoffs. Simple as that. Got to do it in the playoffs. Lamar has checked off every single box. He's got one more box to check. The playoffs. Get it done. Check the playoffs and you ain't got to worry about this talk anymore. So it comes up to that, man. It comes up to that. It comes up to that. In the playoffs, teams throw their best zone blitzes at you. Lamar Jackson's actually, funny enough, Lamar Jackson was actually somewhat poor in zone blitzes, but over the last 3 years, he's improved in dealing with zone. Teams strictly play zone against Lamar Jackson because they can't turn around. They don't want to turn around to Lamar Jackson. Teams don't play man against Lamar Jackson. He's been seeing zone the last 3 years, and he has made the improvements every single year. So absolutely, they're going to be throwing zone blitzes. But the difference between this year and previous years is Lamar Jackson is going to have the opportunity at the line of scrimmage to recognize exactly where those blitzes are coming from, what the defense is trying to throw at him, and if he has to make an adjustment or call an audible, he has the freedom to do so. So we're really going to get to see a test from Lamar. In 2019, if they threw a zone blitz at Lamar and the play that Lamar got from Greg Roman didn't work, Lamar's either going to have to make magic or he's going to get sacked. Not this year. He's going to have an opportunity to see what this is why I love Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken this year and what I've seen from his offense. If Lamar sees something from the defense, he has the opportunity to make the adjustment. He has an opportunity to call an audible if he's seeing pressure coming from one side or the other, or he sees a mismatch. He has the freedom to do it. So you're absolutely right. Teams are going to throw their best zone blitzes at Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. But unlike previous years, he has the freedom to look at what the defense is going to throw at him, what blitzes they're going to come, make the adjustments, and maybe call audibles to take advantage of some mismatches. So Lamar Jackson is going to have the opportunity to showcase what he's been doing over the last 3 years. Will he be successful or not? It all comes down to what he does. This year, in previous years, we could talk about Greg Roman and the offense and all this. This year, you cannot say that about Lamar Jackson in the postseason. Lamar Jackson has the freedom. If he doesn't like what Todd Monken threw out there in the play, or he sees something that they can take advantage of, Lamar has the freedom to change the play. So Lamar's play this year in the playoffs is all on him. If he balls out, it's all on him. And we give him 100% credit for that. If he fails and doesn't get it done, again, it will be on him. Because, again, if he's getting blitzed and he can't recognize the blitz, that's on him. We'll say, why didn't you make the adjustment? You can make the adjustment. You have the freedom to. So Lamar has a lot more control. I cannot wait to see what Lamar Jackson is going to do in the playoffs. Now that he's grown as a quarterback, he's matured as a quarterback, as a leader, he has the ability to do so many things he wasn't able to do in 2019. He's a much better player than he was 2019. He's a much better quarterback than he was in 2019. And he's in a much better offense with more talent. You've got an Odell Beckham Jr. You have a Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman has still been great. And he's been doing a good job getting separation. Him and Lamar haven't connected as much, but you've been doing a great job in getting separation and getting open and giving Lamar a target to be able to target. And they're trying to get to him, and there's been some times where they've been able to connect. But you look at it. Zay, Odell, Bateman, Aguilar, who's been the underdog receiver of that room. And then you got Isaiah Likely and how he's played so far this season with Mark Andrews down. And speaking of Mark Andrews, the man returned to practice yesterday. He might be able to come back for the playoffs. I wouldn't put him for the divisional round, though. If Baltimore was to advance, I guarantee, or I nearly guarantee, he's playing in the AFC title game. But the divisional round, I'm not sure he's going to make it, but we'll have to see. But the man started practicing. If he gets Andrews back, that's another one. So he has reliable weapons that he can trust. He has an offensive system that is not only flexible and versatile, but also gives him the freedom to do his job as a quarterback and as an offensive coordinator that can make adjustments alongside him. He has everything he's wanted in an offense. Everything. He just has to go out there and perform. And then you got a defense that looks like the best defense of football. Number one scoring defense, number one in sacks, number one in takeaway, something that's never been done. Yeah, Ravens. Oh yeah, can't forget about Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. Both of them, with J.K. Dobbins going down, Gus Edwards had to step up as the number one back. Then Keaton Mitchell comes in, he showcased what he can do, and then he goes down. It is what it is. And let's not forget the wild card here in Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is a very useful weapon in the backfield as a passing person. As an extra receiver, he's very useful. As a pass catcher in the backfield for those checkdowns, he's very useful. And he can block. So that definitely helps. And he may still have something left in the tank. So we've got a lot to see. I'm taking the Ravens in this matchup. If Lamar wins a Super Bowl, get ready to hear Mickey Mouse ring. Dude, we're not listening to none of that, bro. Let me tell you right now, if Lamar Jackson wins a Super Bowl, the night Lamar Jackson and that Ravens team wins the Super Bowl, every single Ravens fan and Lamar Jackson fan is going to be in tears. We're going to be crying. It's going to be about tears and celebration. But the next day, the very next day, renegade. The very next day, renegade. If Lamar and the Ravens win the Super Bowl, bro, that night we're all crying, we're all celebrating, we're all going to be in tears. The very next day, renegade. Let me tell you something. The Ravens win the Super Bowl. This will be the first time in a long time that me personally, I'm not going to admit, the 6 months, the 6 months between the Super Bowl and the next season, honestly, it wouldn't affect me at all. Because we are going to have 6 months of some of the most, let me just stop. Let's just say those 6 months, Ravens fans ain't going to feel those 6 months if we win the Super Bowl. Like 6 months of no football, it's not going to affect the Ravens flock. It's not. Oh my God, we won the Super Bowl. It's, like I'm saying, bro, Lamar Jackson winning a Super Bowl will feed generations. It will. It legitimately will. Lamar Jackson winning a Super Bowl will feed generations. Oh, my God. Anyway, let's wrap this up because I've been here for far too long. I need to end this. Conference championships, we've got Cowboys at Niners. how do I want to put this here? Uh, I've picked the Niners. Straight up, I've picked the Niners to get to the Super Bowl. Not to mention, the Niners are going to be at home. The Niners are a better football team than the Cowboys. I don't think this needs to be discussed. Offensively, they've got better weapons. Defensively, it's close, but the Niners defense edges out. Quarterback wise, I would still say Dak's a better quarterback than Purdy, but Purdy's had an amazing year. Either way, the Niners are the better team, and boy, do they just find a way to just beat the Cowboys, dog. It's crazy. They blew out the Cowboys this year. They eliminated them from the playoffs last year. They eliminated them from the playoffs the year before. They just seem to beat this team consistently. The Niners have the Cowboys number. There's not much for me to talk about. Dallas, you're going to have to prove it, but I got the Niners. I picked the Niners to make the Super Bowl. I've had them as my Super Bowl pick all season. I've never once wavered, even though they lost 3 straight games when Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel got hurt. I never wavered. I stuck with the Niners, and I believe they're going to get to the Super Bowl. This is where things get troubled. Ravens-Chiefs AFC Championship game. Let me tell you something. I'm going to be very honest. If the Ravens handle business and get to the AFC title game, I don't care. I don't care. If we get to the AFC title game, me personally, anybody but the Chiefs, we're beating. If it's the Bills, we'll take care of the Bills. If it's somehow, it wouldn't be Pittsburgh. If it's somehow Cleveland, we'll take care of them. If it's the Texans, we'll take care of them. In a weird way, let's say the Steelers beat the Bills and the Dolphins when the Dolphins go to the second round. We beat them. Anybody other than the Chiefs, I can sit here with definitive answers and say, we will beat them. But with the Chiefs, it's just a different story, man. Chiefs back to the title game. Knowing that they're that close to a Super Bowl and all they have to do is just handle their business. The Ravens and Chiefs have not faced off once this year. Last time the Ravens and Chiefs did face off was in 2021 when the Ravens finally got over the hump and beat Mahomes. And Lamar had that 14-point comeback, that double-digit comeback in the fourth quarter. But that's the last time these two teams faced. The Chiefs' defense is much better than what we faced off against 2 years ago. But the Ravens' defense is much better than what Mahomes has dealt with. And the offense is better than what the Chiefs have dealt with. But the offense of the Chiefs is much worse than what we've dealt with in previous years. Yet somehow Mahomes has been able to make magic. And he's been able to make plays that just somehow get it done. Somehow. You can't say that about Pittsburgh when they have y'all numbers versus Lamar. Well, the Steelers wouldn't be able to get to the Steelers wouldn't be able to face off against the Ravens in the AFC title game. If it was the divisional round, if the Steelers get past the Bills, we'll spend the whole week talking about that. Absolutely. If the Steelers beat the Bills, they're automatically going to Baltimore. So we'll have a week to talk about that conversation. But the only way the Ravens and Steelers meet up will be in the division round, not AFC title game. I'm specifically talking about the AFC title game. But Ravens and Chiefs. Defensively, the Ravens edge out the Chiefs' defense, but it's a lot closer than you think. I think the Chiefs' defense has been top 3. Honestly, they've been top 5, arguably top 3. That Chiefs' defense is legit. Offensively, the Ravens have a better offense than the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are just not to be underestimated. What Mahomes, Kelsey, and Reed have been able to do in the playoffs, utmost respect, and we understand what they're going to do. This is just such a tough matchup, man. Honestly, let me tell you right now, I've been building up this narrative of the 2023 Ravens being the 06 Colts. I've been building this narrative of if the Chiefs come to Baltimore for the AFC title game, then I'm telling you, if the Chiefs come to the Ravens in the AFC title game, then that means Lamar Jackson's playing the Peyton 06 simulator. He will be in the exact same situation Peyton Manning was in 06. When Peyton Manning had to get over the hump. He not only had to get over the hump and get to a Super Bowl, but he had to do it by beating Tom Brady. Something he just wasn't able to do. In order for Peyton Manning to get over the hump in 06, he had to beat Brady and Belichick. He had to. In his own building. And he was down 18 in that game. And he found a way to get it done. And by getting it done, he won a Super Bowl. Let me tell you this right now. If the AFC title game is Ravens versus Chiefs, Lamar Jackson is going to have his Peyton '06 moment, which means either he's going to respond and get it done, or he's going to crumble and continue to lose to Mahomes the way Peyton was losing to Brady early on. Chiefs Ravens in the AFC title game honestly changes the whole outlook of the AFC moving forward. Because if the Ravens win this and go on to the Super Bowl, that adds another team that's been able to beat Mahomes in the title game. Now you got the Bengals and the Ravens. That's a threat. Now we start to look at it more even. And if the Ravens win a Super Bowl, now we talk about Lamar and Mahomes in the same conversation. And now Mahomes has a legit threat to him. Straight up. But if the Chiefs win, then in a year like this, when the Chiefs play as bad as they played all season, for them to still get to the Super Bowl, what hope does any other team in this conference have on a consistent basis? Because this is probably going to be the worst Chiefs offense we see. If the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl this year, with the way the Ravens have looked, assuming the Ravens can get it done in the division round, if they beat the Ravens to get to the Super Bowl, then honestly, what hope does anyone else in this conference have? This is accumulation of the last 5 years for the Ravens. This matchup here will be an accumulation of the last 5 years for the Ravens, but it'll also be the deciding factor for how things are going to look in the AFC moving forward. In terms of who are the powerhouses, who are the biggest threats, and everything changes. The Ravens beat this Chiefs in the AFC title game, goes to the Super Bowl and wins. The Chiefs now have a legitimate threat in the Ravens, alongside the threat they have with the Bengals. But they have a legitimate threat. And Lamar Jackson is right up there in the conversation with Mahomes. Now you have a legitimate combatant. Because at this point, both of them will be two-time MVPs. Both of them will be two-time first-team All-Pro quarterbacks. And now Lamar Jackson will be a champion just like Mahomes. And then we can have a real discussion. All in all for this game, like I said, I'm taking the Ravens in this one. I trust the Ravens defense. I believe this is the moment. Lamar Jackson is going to have his Peyton Manning '06 moment. And they're going to be able to get it done. And they're going to advance to the Super Bowl. So, the Super Bowl 58, I believe it's going to be a very interesting one. Because the last time these two teams met up in this dance was Super Bowl 47. Ray Lewis's last ride. And we know how that went. The number one seeds in both sides getting to the Super Bowl will be grand. We don't know if it's going to happen that way. But it would be grand, you know. And would this be of course the Niners, man, they will be itching to beat the Ravens. Not only because the Ravens beat them in their house on Christmas, but the last time, well, not even the last time, but they lost a Super Bowl against us. They want that Super Bowl back. To this day, I'm telling you, if this was the matchup, 2 weeks is going to be nothing but talks about Super Bowl 47. And Niners fans to this day still talk about how Crabtree got held by Jimmy Smith, even though it wasn't a hold. Both Crabtree initiated contact, and both guys were fighting. But sure, we'll argue that till we go to our graves. But that will be the conversation throughout the entirety of the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. But between the Ravens and the Niners, defensively they're about even. Offensively, from a talent perspective, the Niners have more talent, but in terms of output and what we've seen, the offense from both these guys are actually a lot closer. And if the Ravens get Mark Andrews back, now you're looking at it, we got our Mark Andrews, you've got your George Kittle. You got your Deebo Samuel, and you've got your Brandon Ayuk. We've got our Zay Flower, and in some cases, you can either choose to say we got our Odell Beckham Jr. or we got our Isaiah Likely. If these two teams are as even as you can possibly look at, if this is the Super Bowl matchup, expect it to be a close game because the Niners are not about to get smacked again. They're not getting smacked again, bro. They're not. In the Super Bowl matchup, I think it's gonna come down to the defense, man. It's gonna come down to the defense versus the quarterbacks, man. Brock Purdy has to make up for how he played against the Ravens defense. Those 4 turnovers was the worst performance he's had in his career. Him having a chance to redeem himself against the Ravens defense will be glorious. Meanwhile, the Niners defense, once their get back for how Lamar Jackson played against them, they want to be able to slow him down. They want to be able to shut him down. It's going to be a battle of defenses, and it's going to come down to the wire. At the end of the day, in a close matchup, the team I am picking to win, you know what time it is. I'm picking the Ravens. I'm picking the Ravens to win this one. I believe this is the time. If you've been hearing how the Ravens have been talking throughout these last 2 weeks, you will understand this team is as laser focused as it's ever been. As laser focused as it's ever been, bro. You got some of these players treating this as if this is the last game they're gonna have of their career. This is the last postseason run they're gonna have of their career, man. The way some of these guys have been talking about this game, the mentality. Hell, they're doing things they didn't do in 2019. They're practicing. They're practicing a lot more. In 2019 they practiced, but they first of all they had a little bit of a break. They got some rest obviously during the week 17 matchup, but during that bye week in the wild card round, they got a little bit more extra rest. So they got that extra rest and they didn't really practice much. This time around, the Ravens have a full week of practice. Because a full week of practice is 4 days. They didn't practice 4 days in 2019. 2023, straight up. Wednesday, they practice. Thursday, they practice. Friday, they practice. Tomorrow, they're practicing. Not only are they practicing, it's going to be a stadium practice. They want to get an early feel of the emotions that's going to be showcased when they step on that field the following week to take on that divisional round matchup. So they've been practicing all week as if it's a regular season, as if it's just a regular week of preparing for an opponent. So they practice all week. They're going to practice next week. And they didn't take off. They did not take off this time, unlike the situation in 2019, because they did take off some time. They did not take off this time. I believe this is the time for the Ravens. I believe this is the moment they put it together. And at the end of the day, there's no excuses. With the way they've played this season, if they can't come out of the AFC, it's on them. With the way their defense has played all year, being the number one scoring defense, leading the league in turnovers, in takeaways and sacks, you have a defense like that with an MVP at quarterback and an offense that's top 5 with a versatile offensive coordinator and a genius at defensive coordinator and the talent you have on this unit. If you can't get it done, you got no one to blame but yourself. I believe the Ravens are ready for this moment. I believe this is the time they get it done. So I got the Ravens going to the Super Bowl against the Niners and winning the championship. I trust the Dallas defense to expose Brock Friday as well. Why didn't they do that last time? Last time I checked, they faced off in the regular season. Why did he throw 3 touchdowns against them? You expect the defense to expose Brock Purdy on the road? Because this game will be in San Francisco. Last time they went to San Francisco, they had a chance to expose Brock Purdy. He threw 3 touchdowns on that defense. And they got blown out. So why couldn't they do it then? I guess. Good luck with that. They have another chance. They're not going to expose nothing, dude. They're not going to expose nothing. This Cowboys team is not a team to be trusted on the road. They're not going to expose nothing, bro. They're not going to expose nothing. If the Cowboys win, I say they have a shot to win, then that's great on them. But they're not about to expose Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's not about to have a moment like he had against us where people are like, oh, he got exposed with those 4 interceptions. He's not throwing 4 interceptions against the Cowboys defense. I can tell you that right now. So he's not going to get exposed against them. I think it'll be a highly competitive game that comes down to the wire because the Cowboys and Niners games in the playoffs have always come down to the wire. But I'm still taking the Niners in this one. Either way, I got the Ravens winning the Super Bowl, and we'll just see how that goes. I picked Bills versus Niners. Good luck with that Bills pick, bro. If you would have said Chiefs at that point, everyone's like, okay, well, it's Mahomes. But Bills, the Bills have not shown me anything that would make me want to trust them in terms of getting to the Super Bowl. I haven't seen anything from them that makes me even come remotely close to trusting or believing in that team. But hey, good luck with that. If it was the Chiefs you would have picked to get to the Super Bowl, I can't even argue that. Mahomes, they got the playoff experience. They got Mahomes, they got Kelsey, they got Andy Reid. It makes sense. And their defense is top 5, arguably top 3. It makes sense for Kansas City. Even though their offense has been garbage, their defense has done their job. So it makes sense for that. But Bills, I haven't seen anything from the Bills that makes me even come close to remotely trusting them to A, beat Kansas City, and B, get out the AFC. But I guess that's what the playoffs is about. At the end of the day, we can feel how we feel about these teams. We can feel how we feel about these teams, bro. We can feel how we feel about these teams. In the playoffs, everybody's at 0-0. Upsets happen all the time. Never forget, the 9-7 New York Giants won the Super Bowl against the Patriots. Never forget the '07 Giants went all the way to the Super Bowl and beat the 18-0 Patriots. The playoffs are what it is. It's a one and done tournament. Everybody has a fair and equal chance to win, and you never know what's going to happen. If we were just to judge these things on paper, then the way a lot of these champions would be, it wouldn't be close. If we were to judge things on paper, the Ravens wouldn't have 2 rings. If we were to judge things based off of paper, we wouldn't have won in 2000, and we wouldn't have won especially wouldn't have won in 2012. We would not have won in 2012 if we were just basing Super Bowls based off of seedings and rankings. Every single one of these teams in the playoffs have a fair and equal chance to go the distance. Are they going to? Well, there's only 2 teams that can get to the dance, and there's only 1 team that can win. But everyone's got a fair chance, and it's a fair race for everybody. Whether you believe your team's going to get there or not, we'll just have to wait and see. We all have our personal opinions. We'll just see how things go. Either way, that's pretty much my picks. Wild card weekend, I got the Cowboys. I got the Browns over the Texans, the Chiefs over the Dolphins, the Bills over the Steelers, Cowboys over the Packers, Rams over the Lions, and Buccaneers over the Eagles. We'll see how that ages well. What if Joe Flacco wants his revenge on the Ravens? Joe Flacco has turned the ball over. Not even turned the ball over 8 because it's been actually like 10. He's fumbled the ball a couple times. Joe Flacco's thrown 8 picks in 5 games. If you want, and he's not a mobile quarterback. He's not a mobile quarterback, and he's thrown 8 interceptions in the last 5 games. He's gonna go up against the number 1 defense in terms of takeaways and sacks. I wish Flacco the best of luck against that Ravens defense. Let him just feel free to. Flacco's slinging the ball. Please feel free to recklessly throw the ball down the field with Kyle Hamilton back there. We'll see how that works out. Feel free to just try to sling it over the middle of the field with Roquan Smith being there. Please try it. Please, feel free to. Feel free to be reckless with the football. Please. I hope Flacco's reckless with the football. Is Marlon Humphrey playing? Most likely. Listen, everybody right now for the Ravens that's on the injury report, they're expected to play. We're just resting them because it's the bye week. Anybody that's dealing with injuries, it's time to play. He's dealing with a calf situation. Humphrey's not missing the game. Zay's dealing with a low calf situation too. He's not missing the game. He knows he's playing. So I'll say this. In terms of the Ravens' injuries, nothing severe. Not a single severe major injury for the Ravens. So there's a high chance everybody that's on the injury report is going to play that division round game. And hell, to make things even better, I don't expect it to be the case, but there's a possibility Mark Andrews plays too because he returned to practice yesterday. And if he ends up practicing with the team next week and they feel he looks good to go, he may be on that field for the divisional round. But we'll see. And yeah, John, you're right, man. This went on a lot longer than I needed it to be. It's 1:44 a.m., man. I got to end it now. So we'll see what happens, man. Playoffs start tomorrow. I can't wait. I'll be here for the Browns-Texans game. I don't even know. I have to look and see if I have Peacock? Because if not, I'm not going to be here for the Dolphins, Chiefs. And at the end of the day, I don't even know if I'm going to be here for every single wildcard matchup. Division round is different. That's 6 playoff. I'll see what I can do. Because especially on Sunday. That's a 1 p.m. game, then 4. Like, I don't even know if I can do all those games. I will have recaps of those games, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do all those games. Either way, we'll probably discuss them. We'll look to discuss them, man. It's not even about buying Peacock. Do I want to waste my money on getting Peacock for 1 playoff game just to satisfy the NFL, those sick fiends? Either way, guys, I gotta head out. I could do a free trial for the week, but I don't know. Actually, did my sister use Peacock for a free week? I might ask her about that because I think we might have used I don't know. Either way, at the end of the day, I'll talk about every playoff game for a recap, but I'm not about to be streaming every single playoff game, bro. That is too much streaming for me. I am not a streamer, bro. I am not a streamer. I try to enjoy it as much as I can, but I will not be here for every single playoff game to stream 3 hours. I'll prefer to just give a recap. I've been a Ravens fan since 2016. I've never seen the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Hopefully, they can get it done. Back in 2013, I wasn't a football person back then, but go Ravens, get a ring. Hey, we'll see what happens, man. The Ravens have the best chance to get to Super Bowl since 2019. If they've learned from their experiences in 2019, they will be able to overcome those demons and finally get it done. They seem motivated, they seem focused, and they seem ready. All they got to do is go out there and play. So you're not like Tom Grossi, bro? No one's Tom Grossi. That man is different. Shout out to Tom Grossi and the Grossi posse. That man is a legend, and he's one of one, man. He's one on one. He's a difference maker, bro. So shout out to Grossi. But yeah, no, I'm not like I'm not Tom Grossi. I can't live up to that legend. I can't live up to that legend. Anyway, guys, it's almost 2 in the morning. I've been here for 2 hours streaming, so it's time for me to cut this off. I appreciate you stopping by for the playoff prediction. I probably could have just made a video of this and I wouldn't have been here that long, but I just felt the need to go through this because now sometimes it's just easier to just do a stream. Sometimes it's easier to do a stream than to actually just make a video, because it's just easier to do that because I just make my take and say things. Because sometimes I make videos and I want to change things up, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to say this. I want to say this now. So it is what it is. But yeah, who do I got in the Browns Texas game? I picked the Browns. I got the Browns winning that game. That's the first matchup. I got the Browns winning tomorrow. I hope the Texans and CJ Stroud can pull off the upset. That'd be pretty cool because I want to see at least 1 or 2 upsets, and I'm not fully sure if the. I have an upset with the Rams over the Lions, but I don't know how many people are looking at that as an upset. And then the Bucks Eagles, no one's looking at that as an upset. The Texans beating the Browns will be a true upset, but I just don't see that happening. I think Cleveland's going to handle business. Either way, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. And with that being said, tomorrow. Not even tomorrow. It's almost 2 in the morning. Tomorrow at 4. Well, today at. Let me see. Not even tomorrow. Today at 4:30. I'll see you in like. Let me see. I'll see you in like 14 hours. I'll see you guys in 14 hours. I can't even say I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you guys in 14 hours. The game is 4:30 today, so I'll see you guys in 14 hours. Until then, stay safe, take care, and peace out. Man, I am tired. See you guys.